My name is Ken, and I'm going to give you a little history and presentation about cuckoo clock. So you'll know everything there is to know. And the story starts here in the Black Forest about 350 years ago. And just like today, everybody's interested in technology. I can see how many of you have got cameras in your hands. Everyone's got a mobile phone. Well, the technology 350 years ago looked a little different. And this is what people could afford in technology for their house. No longer did you have to build a great big house or a temple to put a clock in it, but you could have this at home. And this is a very, very simple clock. It's made of practically all of wood, as you can see. And it's driven by a weight, in this case a rock falling. And every 12 hours, you have to pull it like this. So if you don't pull it at the right time, then you have to get up in the middle of the night and pull it again. As you can see, it's only got one arm. Of course, for 350 years ago, time, there it goes again, wasn't quite as important as we've made it today. And the reason that this was so popular here and why it was welcomed by the farmers who used to make this, as you can imagine, 350 years ago there's no roads, hardly, and when it snowed, the snow is this high, so they just sat on their farms for 3-4 months of the year, and they start making these because farmers have to be very versatile, and they start realizing we can make extra money in the winter instead of just sitting and waiting for the summer. So then we move on about 100 years, and in the meantime, an Englishman, he invents, that's not very good, he invents the mechanical clock as we know it today. And this very rapidly spreads around Europe, and it arrives here, and all they do is then simply just put it into a wooden frame, and then they think to themselves, well, we have to put something on the front. So they think, well, we'll just use wood because there's lots of it, and they put this kind of face on the clocks, and they're called shield clocks. And then these, obviously, to make them more decorative for people, they're painted and they're exported all around Europe, and they go to England, and the English are a little more conservative, if you've ever been to England, and they just like them white, very plain, not too exciting. But they also go to France, and the French, that's an original French one. French are a little more flowery, a little more ooh la la, and they also go to Spain with more flowers, and they're very, very successful, and the people realize how much money they can make. So then we go on about 200 years ago. People are always thinking of new ideas, and that is when then, about 200 years ago, we see our little friend here arrive in the Black Forest. Now, 200 years ago, people thought that was like, wow! Like people sit in front of their television all day. I'm sure they sat in front of that all day as well. But not just happy with the little cuckoo on top, they thought of other things, and somebody came up with this idea. This little gentleman is called Pudding Eater, and he sits there all day and he annoys you because he eats away and he never gets any bigger, he never runs out of food. And then they also invented this idea, and this one we call the mother-in-law clock. There is a man working away, and behind him is his mother-in-law, and she likes to remind him every now and again that he has to keep working for her daughter. He's got to make money for the family. So if any of you gentlemen would like to get your own back today, you can borrow this. If the police come, see it. So that was very, very popular, again exported all over Europe and even to China. But people are always thinking of new ideas, and then we move on about 150 years ago, and they had a competition here in the Black Forest to make something new. And the man who won the competition was an architect, and he'd been working on the railways here, opening up Europe, opening up America and Asia, and railways again, new technology, and this is the design he came out with. It resembles, or it's meant to symbolize a railway hut, which are all along the railways for the guards and for the train personnel to change. And these These are meant to represent the tracks. So 150 years ago, the design of the cuckoo clock, as we know it, started. But because the people were very versatile with their hands and with wood and very close to nature, within 10 years they started bringing animals and plants, and then they started producing things like this. And if you look at the prices later on, you'll notice that they are quite expensive. But all the work is hands, it's all hand carved. And for example, this piece of wood here, all the way down, and the deer, that's all one piece of wood. And for a man or a woman to make something like this, it would take anything between 6 to 8 weeks. So that's the outside. So we'll talk about the inside. And obviously the inside of any clock is the mechanism, that's the heart of it. And we have two different kinds of mechanism basically. We have what's called a 1-day clock and an 8-day clock. And the difference simply is, on a 1-day clock, you have to pull this every day. And on an 8-day clock, you only pull it every 8 days. And that's a 1-day clock then, and they have maybe little dancing figures on top. 8-day clock, again with little dancing figures. But you can't tell what it is from the outside, so you have to look at these. These are the weights which drive the mechanism. You always have one for the mechanism, one for the cuckoo, and if there's a third one there, that means then there's music as well. And these are the weights of a 1-day clock. Again, 3 would tell you there's music. Okay? So, what else have we got? We're talking about the music. This is the musical part. This is the only part that we actually import. It doesn't come from the Black Forest. This comes from Switzerland. They have a patent on this. They've been making it for 100 years, and they're making lots of money, hopefully. And I have to show you a little trick. When I just hold this up, you should be able to hear nothing. Yeah. But when you then put it in contact with wood, because the wood acts like the sound box. That's how it works. So if you do buy a cuckoo clock and take this out and try to use it and wonder why it doesn't work, it works. Okay, so we have nearly everything, apart from obviously the cuckoo itself. Now, all the cuckoos that we use in our cuckoo clocks are female cuckoos. We don't use any men anymore because we've tried and they've fallen asleep, they're reading the newspaper, or they just forgot. So that's why we use females, and they keep the little house tidy as well inside when they're not cooking out. But because females tend to be a little smaller, we have to give them a little bit of help. And if it's a bigger house that they're in, then we give them these to help them. Well, I think it's got a cold vest. And it's a medium house, then it's sound like this. And if it's a little house, then we have to put a little baby bird in there. So now you know everything. If you do buy a cuckoo clock and you take it home and you take off the back, you'll notice that these two little red tabs are there. You have to pull these off because they keep this then closed. Otherwise, if they're not there, it'll be squeaking all the way home. Okay. I'll take you across to the wall now and show you some examples of what people have done with all this putting together.
Go all the way down, come close. Go all the way down, make room for people, please make room for people.
Oh, the little people there at the front?
Yeah, come little people in the front.
Hello, little people.
आ जाओ पीछे से आगे आ जाओ थोड़ा आगे आ जाओ प्लीज कम इन द फ्रंट हेलो लेडीज कम इन द फ्रंट वेरी क्विक
You take a picture.
Okay. Along this wall are 120 mechanical clocks, and on the other side are about 60 battery clocks. And the mechanical clocks are obviously divided between 8-day and 1-day. All these are 8-day. And just to show you what some of the people have done with them, here this clock celebrates a very old tradition in the Black Forest. For about 100 years ago, before telephones, young men, they may have met or heard of a nice young woman and they want to go visit her. Well, The problem is, yeah, the parents are there obviously at home, but young men being young men, they want to talk to this nice young woman, and here he is here, and he put a ladder up against the building. Unfortunately for him, the woman and the father comes round the corner, and he's not too impressed. I don't know if that happens in India as well. Maybe they come out with a shotgun in India.